Statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. Still my president. Donald Trump, once again, just absolutely blasting incredible takes from the desk. This literally reads like a... I don't know how to describe it. Okay, I'm just going to read it to you. Can anyone even imagine taking out our military before evacuating civilians and others who have been good to our country and who should be allowed to seek refuge? In addition, these people left top flight and highly sophisticated equipment. Who can believe such incompetence? Under my administration, all civilians and equipment would have been removed. So, first of all, his Twitter fingers are so juicy. Like, he just sounds literally like a different person. Like, as though he was never the president. As though we don't know what he did when he was the president. But, you know, off-season Donald Trump is just, you know, based anti-imperialist, routinely expresses his disdain for the American military's incompetence. It's like so wild. Dog, you literally negotiated this evacuation. I don't even have a problem with it. I said it back then. It's the right thing to do. It's the smart thing to do, and it's the right thing to do. Maybe it's the right thing to do, but anything that involves people hanging on to planes and falling off because they want to escape is not handled well at all. Dude, it's a war, man. What are you guys talking about? Yeah, no shit. Okay. I don't have a problem with, like, literally allowing every Afghan person that wants to come to the United States open doors. Do you? Does Donald Trump? Because it seems like he is into that idea, but I don't think he is. For the record, I just want to point out that, like, once again, I'm going to talk about this a lot today. This was Donald Trump's evacuation and withdrawal negotiation, which the Joe Biden administration, until like last week, was totally willing and able to take ownership of and fucking claim credit for. Don't get me wrong, but like anyone who's saying, and this just basically draws that same bipartisan line from Democrats to Republicans when it comes to foreign policy. Like, this is basically just reinforcing that very basic American function that I've described to you guys a million times over. But the people are just shit-slinging at one another for political brownie points, when in fact it was Donald Trump's literal fucking historic peace deal with the Taliban. One of the dudes that was in the palace that was, you know, posted up wearing his fucking drip was literally released by Donald Trump's administration from Guantanamo Bay, dude. Like, what do you mean? And now, of course, the GOP is removing the page praising Donald Trump's historic peace deal with the Taliban as every fucking Republican rushes to act like they were not in favor of Donald Trump's historic peace deal with the Taliban. And the media is whipped up in a fucking frenzy, nearly identical to the same whip up of frenzy that they were engaged in that fucking brought us into Afghanistan in the first place, dude. 90% of the country in the aftermath of 9/11 wanted to fucking attack Afghanistan. 90%. You think that's a fucking accident, dude? The media will never take ownership of how much they bang the fucking war drums. And then they turn around and literally extend the never-ending wars by making it seem like the only way to fucking defend the Afghan citizens is by permanently staying there and permanently doing occupation.
Yesterday
Oh, let's go, dude. Let's go, Tucky boy. Let's see what he has to say. What kind of fear-mongering will he do?
The Biden administration told us that American citizens would not be given priority in the evacuation from Kabul. So our government's official position is that American lives are not more valuable than the lives of foreigners. But you already knew that because you've seen our southern border. The people who made the Afghan occupation possible would like to see a lot more of our southern border, much more unrestrained immigration to the U.S. Bring in the refugees, they're screaming tonight. That's the only lesson they're taking from this debacle. Quote, America must not stand idly by, Mitt Romney tweeted today. The president must urgently rush to defend, rescue, and give and expand asylum. There is no time to spare.
I thought all lives mattered. Why is he saying this, dude? Wait, hold on. Are you telling me that all lives don't matter? What? No, not this guy who once famously said Iraq and Afghanistan are primitive countries run by apes that deserve to be glassed. What? Not that guy who has the most successful news program. That guy?
These are the architects of the disaster we are watching unfold on television. They should be groveling for our forgiveness, but they're not. Why? Because contrition requires decency. There's no chance. So we're getting it. And if history is any guide, and it's always a guide, We will see many refugees from Afghanistan resettle in our country in coming months, probably in your neighborhood. And over the next decade, that number may swell to the millions. So first we invade, and then we're invaded. It is always the same. We'll be spending a lot more time on that subject in coming weeks because it matters. But first, since Kabul has just fallen, it might be worth asking the most obvious question of all. Why did the Taliban win? How did the 6th century triumph over the 21st century? There are indications that the single most notorious and reviled government in the world, primitive people famous for their brutality, rigidity, and humorlessness, are more popular in parts of Afghanistan than they were when we expelled the mullahs from Kandahar 20 years ago. They don't seem to be less popular. So how did that happen? What's the answer? We ought to pause to think about that. Let's not just blow past it like it was an act of God. It's not.
I wonder what happened. I mean, he's talking about the Taliban. It's almost like there was like a foreign force that came in and occupied their country.
What is the answer? Well, countries are very complicated, all of them, so there are likely many answers. But one of those answers may be that the population of Afghanistan has firmly rejected what our leaders were selling it over 20 years. It turns out that the people of Afghanistan don't actually want gender studies symposia. They didn't actually buy the idea that men can become pregnant. They thought that was ridiculous. They don't hate.
Bro, I'm sorry. This is the rebranded like Pat Robertson shit, saying that Osama bin Laden wanted to kill America because homosexuals exist. Like he's literally saying that like the people of Taliban were popular because they weren't doing gender studies. Isn't he just saying that he agrees with the Taliban? Like he's saying, I agree with the Taliban and they're good. Like what the fuck? What a weird take.
Their own masculinity. They don't think it's toxic. They like the patriarchy. Some of their women like it too. So now they're getting it all back. So maybe it's possible that we failed in Afghanistan because the entire neoliberal program is grotesque. It's a joke.
Oh my God, this video is awesome. I didn't realize that Tucker Carlson's entire argument reduced to, so it turns out the Taliban were onto something. And that something is called conservatism. Something that the American government should probably start taking notice of. Some of these women don't need to show their faces. After all, it's not like you would want to see the face or hear a woman in many instances. A lot of liberals want you to cover up with a mask anyway. We might as well just go full burqa. Women should be seen and not heard. I'm Tucker Carlson, and I agree with the Taliban. Seriously, wow, yeah, I saw this already. Nick Fuentes literally said the Taliban's going to ban abortion, vaccines, and gay marriage. Maybe we were fighting on the wrong side for 20 years. Like, yeah, this guy's a literal Nazi, and Tucker Carlson is a literal Nazi as well. And they like the Taliban. When I say it, you look at me like, oh, dude, you're exaggerating. But like, they're saying it themselves. They're like, yeah, it's fucking cool. The Taliban doesn't do CRT. They don't wear masks at the gym. So who's really free here? When you think about it, who's really fighting for their own liberty and their own freedoms? That's why tonight I'm going to recite the Shahada. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. I'm Tucker Carlson, and this is the Shahada.
So maybe it's possible that we failed in Afghanistan because the entire neoliberal program is grotesque. It's a joke. It's contrary to human nature. It answers none of our deepest human desires. It is merely a performance staged for the performer. It's not even supposed to improve your life.
Did you just squeeze out a shart there? What happened?
Of our deepest human desires, it is merely a performance staged for the performer. It's not even.
Oh my God. What? Did he just shart? What a sharty boy. Oh my God, he's a doo-doo butt.
For the performer. It's not even.
Bro, he literally thought that was just a fart. Look at his face, dude. He's like, I just sharted my pants. And guess what? The Taliban sharts their pants too. Liberals keep telling you, you have to actually wipe your ass once you're done pooping in your pants. They look at you when you walk down the street saying you smell bad because they hate the diversity of ideas that comes from wanting to do pants shitting. The Taliban, on the other hand, will shit their pants all the time. Not a problem there because they're truly beacons of progress and liberty. A concept that we forgot here in the United States of America. A concept that our founding fathers, much like the Taliban, would have been on board with.
It's ridiculous. And ideas that ridiculous can only be imposed by force, only with armed men at gunpoint. The moment these ideas are not mandatory, the second...
Oh my God, he tied the entire thing to CRT, dude. Like, he thinks that the American military occupation in, like, the green zone was all about, like, you know, some fucking bumfuck from Iowa literally fucking flying out there, getting a jarhead cut and being like, today I'm going to teach you about how black people were enslaved in the United States of America. Fatma! Why are you not paying attention to what I have to say about systemic injustices in the United States of America? Like, that's what the military was doing, dude. They just fucking, we were just like, we were dropping in paratroopers that, you know, were just woke. This is great, dude.
The troops withdraw, in fact, people tend to revert to the lives that they prefer to live. That may be the real
Bro,
lesson.
he's literally saying the Taliban embraced tradition. I love this, dude. The Taliban, why is he pro-Taliban, dude? I'm so confused, dude. He's literally pro-Taliban. Oh, what the fuck? It's so weird. This, like, the last minute of this rant is basically, I'm waiting for him to turn around and be like, and that's wrong. Like, he's not even saying, is he gonna just, like, leave that hanging there? Because, like, normally what guys like this will do is still turn around and be like, they're primitive, they're animals, you know what I mean? They're dirty, they're vermin, stuff like that, because they're brown and doing religious fundamentalism. When you're white and you do it, Tucker Carlson has no problem. But when you're brown and you do it, then you're an animal, and that's why you don't deserve to be in this country. So I'm surprised that he's not doing that. I'm surprised that maybe he sharded and forgot to do the second part of it.
Lesson of Afghanistan. Let's hope our leaders notice. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
Wow. Charlie stays unhinged.
President Joe Biden's Department of Defense will accept 30,000 Afghan refugees in military installations following the collapse of Kabul. Boom. Political
epic
transformation.
Pogo.
Let the country crumble. Do you know there's 5 million displaced people in Afghanistan now? This was all intentional. Joe Biden let it fall apart to now say, oh, I'm so sorry. I guarantee you Joe Biden's speech this afternoon will talk about refugee assistance and relocation support. Now, Joe Biden's going to be scrambling to make good on it, and the liberal media will love it. They'll say, oh, yes, okay, now I get it. Joe Biden is now fixing his own problem. Joe Biden is stepping up, and he's allowing a flow of people from the Middle East into America. Thank you.
Wait, I don't get it. Dude, this dude is all over the place. Like, Trump said he wants fucking Afghan refugees. What's going on? Someone should inform Charlie Kirk that his take is now outdated. Donald Trump made it seem like he was interested in bringing Afghan refugees into the country, as we found out earlier today. That's what he was saying. So is Charlie Kirk against that now? That's crazy. That's wild. Except the GOP is also removing the, you know, pages where Donald Trump was praised for the historic negotiations that they fucking engaged with. The Biden administration simply executed. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's going on here. Stupid liberal median person, you homophone, you got me.
Thank you, Joe Biden. You're such a hero. You're so benevolent. You're so respectful. You're so compassionate. Do you see what's going on here? What's going on here is Joe Biden wants a couple 100,000 more Ilhan Omars to come into America to change the body politic permanently. We're playing checkers, and they're playing chess.
Oh, this is, here's Chris Wallace throwing Mike Pompeo's past praise for the Taliban back in his face. Mike Pompeo literally said, there's a side-by-side tweet, literally said that the Taliban are brilliant negotiators or some shit like that, for the record. And now, of course, he's like, these guys are barbarians, they're butchers, what the fuck, under the Joe Biden administration. Mike Pompeo and Donald Trump are responsible for the negotiation of our Afghan withdrawal. That's what they negotiated. I don't even have a problem with it. Don't misunderstand me. I think that it could have been dealt or handled a little bit better with respect to communicating to everyone what was actually going on. But I think that they were too cowardly to openly be like, we're handing the Afghan government to... Let's see what Mike Pompeo has to say.
I just want to ask you one more question about your record, though, sir. You were the first American Secretary of State to ever meet with the Taliban, and you talked about how they had agreed to join us in the fight against terrorism. Here you are, sir.
The gentleman I met with agreed that they would break that relationship and that they would work alongside of us to destroy, deny resources to, and have al-Qaeda depart from that place.
Do you regret giving the Taliban that legitimacy? Do you regret pressing the Afghan government to release 5,000 prisoners, which they did, some of whom are now back on the battlefield fighting with the Taliban?
Chris, you make peace with your enemies. The statement that I made that day was absolutely true. You can ask the military leaders on the ground. We did good work to crush al-Qaeda. When we left office, there were fewer than 200 al-Qaeda left in Afghanistan. Chris, we never trusted the Taliban. You can ask them yourselves. We made abundantly clear if they did not live up to...
Wait, that's crazy. We never trusted the Taliban? Hold on a moment. Mike Pompeo... Wait, I'm sorry. Here's a 2020 photo of Mike Pompeo with Mullah Barabar, who will likely be the new head of state in Taliban Afghanistan. Barabar was in a Pakistani jail until 2018 when the Trump administration got him released. Wait, you have to have the tweet though. Do you know what the actual tweet that accompanies this photo from Mike Pompeo's account? Met with the Taliban political deputy Mullah Barabar to welcome the launch of Afghan peace negotiations. The Taliban must seize this opportunity to forge a political settlement and reach a comprehensive and permanent ceasefire to end 40 years of war. This effort must be Afghan-led. Tweets are just public relations, my guy. Wait, what do you mean? What about releasing someone from Pakistani prison so you can start the negotiation process with them? Which, again, I have to repeat myself over and over again. I ultimately do not believe that there was any other fucking way. I don't think that there is no, like, viable coalition or a viable group beyond the Taliban as it stands in Afghanistan to take over as the Afghan government. They don't have the military. They do not have the organization. They do not have the money. They do not have the funds. And that's precisely why the American State Department decided that this was very likely the best possible fucking negotiation or the best possible bargain that they could strike in an effort to maintain stability so they can still milk the same mining contracts, just not from the Afghan government, as they are literally getting overtaken in multiple areas by the Taliban militia, and instead just get it from a more stable Taliban government. Okay, that's what I believe. I believe that this is the reason why they negotiated this. Yeah, here it is side by side, by the way. This is Mike Pompeo when he fucking got Barabar out of the prison and then negotiated with him. This is what happened once the negotiation actually was executed by the Joe Biden administration. The Taliban are butchers. We demanded a set of conditions and made clear the cost we would impose if they failed to deliver. They haven't. The terms we achieved held during our time. This administration has failed. Bullshit. That's unironically what you literally what you negotiated. After decades of conflict, we have come to an understanding with the Taliban on a significant reduction in violence across Afghanistan. This is an important step on a long road to peace, and I call on all Afghans to seize this opportunity. Karl Rove on Fox News? What? Dude, he should be walking into prison, okay? Karl Rove should be the only place Karl Rove should be walking into is prison, motherfucker. I cannot believe that he's walking into Fox News.
President Bush was interviewed recently, and he said that he was
there's no TOS there.
Worried about what was happening with the Taliban, and also about the idea of an exit from our perspective with the really relatively small footprint that we had of troops on the ground here. Here's a bit of what he said. All right, let me read this out for you. I'm sad. Laura and I spent a lot of time with Afghan women, and they are scared. And I think about all the interpreters and people that helped not only U.S. troops, but NATO troops.
Dude, hundreds of thousands of people died as a consequence of both of those dipshits on screen. Like, literally, directly. Like, they personally murdered hundreds of thousands of women, men, children. What the fuck are they talking about? You know how we could have avoided hundreds of thousands of deaths by literally not invading Afghanistan? It blows my fucking mind that these people are still alive, well rested, on fucking mainstream media, talking about the actual fucking crimes that they committed.
And it seems like they're just going to be left behind to be slaughtered by these very brutal people, and it breaks my heart. Karl.
70% of the population of Afghanistan, 39 million people, 70% of them are 25 years or less. They only know a country in which there is growing opportunity for everyone, in which women can go to school, in which women can live outside the home, in which women can pursue.
Like, this never happened, dude. This never happened. Even in fucking cities. Originally, it did not happen. Like, it's so insane. What about the fucking people that you bombed, dipshit? They died, so they can't go to school anymore. What about those women? Oh, you don't give a fuck about those women because that's collateral damage. So these fucking demons actually talking about the women they care about blows my fucking mind, dude. It is, I don't even have an analogy for it. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. We never cared about the women in Afghanistan. That was not the reason why we went into Afghanistan. And we certainly didn't care about them when we were bombing the fuck out of them. We didn't care about them when we were bombing their houses. We didn't care about them when we were like directly murdering them. We didn't care about it when Donald Trump literally fucking pardoned and interfered with the investigation of that famous fucking special ops guy, Eddie Gallagher, who literally was such a fucking prolific murderer of women and children that his own troops, that his own battalion fucked up his sites so he could stop fucking murdering women and children regularly. Like, this is the kind of atrocity that we subjected the Afghan people to on a regular basis. So the very same leaders of this momentum, of this devastation, the actual main purveyors, the main people that started this, coming back on television to be like, oh man, I can't believe it. Like, fuck, dude. I can't believe we're just like betraying these people. It's wild to me.
To careers in which everyone is given a measure of freedom and opportunity, and now they're going to be thrust back into a barbaric regime. Well, think about this. As the Taliban made its way across Afghanistan in recent days, they've rewarded Taliban fighters by giving them, quote, arranged marriages with teenage Afghan girls whom they've never met.
That literally continuously happened under the U.S. occupation, dude. What the fuck? That happened under the U.S. occupation.
And never known, and they're literally surrendering them to the control of Taliban fighters to be their wives. I mean, this is the kind of barbarianism that we saw for decades in Afghanistan that stopped after America.
And did nothing to stop in Afghanistan because, you know, we don't give a shit.
It would be very interesting to hear that argument made by President Biden, but he made the opposite argument that what we needed was to bring everyone home. We haven't lost, as you say, a member of our U.S. military in 18 months. Now you've got 6,000 people on the ground there just trying to hold the airport, which is proving to be a very difficult task, even with these increased numbers.
Yeah, only a difficult task because of the citizens that are trying to get on board, by the way. Not because, like, the Taliban is fucking attacking or anything like that. A difficult task because the American military is trying to forcibly stop Afghan citizens that are trying to escape Kabul from getting on fucking planes. Understandable because, like, some of them are literally so desperate that they're fucking clinging on to the tires and shit. But that's the literal reason why. Interesting that they are not mentioning that. Interesting that there were no solutions about, like, I don't know, allowing a fast, expedited refugee process to all asylum seekers immediately. None of that. Oh, yeah, Joe Biden bad. Joe Biden bad. Okay, dude. Yeah, I'm sure. No, we should have just kept staying in fucking Afghanistan and kept fighting and having people fucking die for no reason, dude. That's a better way to do it. Where's the MSNBC based ass fucking take? Oh, here it is. Let's watch this. So MSNBC for the first fucking time in its history had like an actually good take.
I'd love to hear you out on the current split between the press and public, the two audiences that will hear and view this speech and the president's choice to go hard with his own decision making.
Well, I'm going to say two things, and both hard to say, but I'll say them anyway, because here we are. 95% of the American people will agree with everything he just said. 95% of the press covering this White House will disagree. And for an American president to finally be completely aligned with such an overwhelming majority of what the American people think about Afghanistan is probably a tremendous relief to the American people. He also went a long way toward really fleshing out a Biden doctrine. And there are questions about whether he can achieve what he set out, but there is no equivocation. There is no lack of confidence that this is the right decision. And what he has going for him is a vast majority of Americans in both political parties.
This is unironically one of the greatest things I've ever heard from MSNBC. I'm not even kidding. It is remarkable that this was even said. I'm so shocked that someone who is a mainstream media person would openly state the gigantic fucking rift between what the DC wonk class thinks the American people want and what they personally want versus what the American people actually believe is the right thing to do. Now, Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong, dude. This kind of rhetoric from CNN and all other fucking outlets. Biden's botched Afghan exit is a disaster. It's like embarrassing us. It's embarrassing us. It's embarrassing us. And Nicole Wallace is like literally a Bush person. Like actually one of the demons. For her to say this shit is really interesting. I don't know if the media will be able to make the American public sour on the withdrawal of Afghanistan. Why are 95% of the press against this decision? I feel like I'm missing something. What do you mean, why are they against this decision? Because they're warmongers. That's why. That's it. They feel as though they have been embarrassed on the world stage by a bunch of dudes that were wearing fucking slides, dude. It's Vietnam 2.0. War equals more people watching, more ads, more money. I mean, there is that. But also, they certainly get a lot of money also on top of that from the military-industrial complex, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, Halliburton, all manner of different corporations that are like the backbone of American industry that rely heavily on permanent war. And the media's primary responsibility is the continuation of that. So that's precisely why they are not very excited about any sort of like pullout, any sort of dissent. These people have never cared about the women in Afghanistan, and they will forget about the women in Afghanistan. They never have cared about the women in Afghanistan. They're simply using the women in Afghanistan as a talking point to justify permanent war.
For several years, the people of Afghanistan
Oh my God, this is terrible.
have suffered under one of the most brutal regimes in modern history. A regime allied with terrorists and a regime at war with women. Thanks to our
My man was talking about women even back then, dude. Look at that. They had to invade, you know, to protect the Afghan women.
military and our allies and the brave fighters of Afghanistan, the Taliban regime is coming to an end.
1,000 U.S. troops.
We're learning about the Pentagon Papers, where the American government actually internally realized that this war was fucking never going to be won. Okay? You know, maybe this will help you, I don't know, reconsider your fucking white man's burden, civilizing force of imperial good rhetoric.